And it's, it's weird because my childhood was kind of that way as well. Either we were like very well off, living in like high end hotels, or we're like dirt poor, living in a hut, having no food to eat.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Justin Rodriguez, your favorite lender here at Neighborhood Loans, and we're back with another episode of Cafecito Talks. Today is definitely a very, very important episode because today we're going to be interviewing someone who has been all around the world and different types of jobs and careers, and now she's landed in the real estate game, which is it's pretty cool just to kind of see all the perspectives that she has to bring to the table. She has obviously done different careers and been around certain individuals that I would absolutely love to hear stories from. So this is something you want to stay tuned because there's a lot of information that you can learn from this episode and kind of get a better idea on her story. So thank you so much for being here, Marisol. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And I want to kind of get a better idea on, for everyone to kind of know who you are, how you got to where you're at, and like your whole journey, because honestly, I don't even know your full journey. So it's good to hear that the whole thing. I know bits and pieces of it, but I'd love to hear everything.
I don't know how much time we have, but it's kind of a long story. So, you make me sound like, the jack of all trades. But no, I've actually, what Justin is probably referring to is the fact that, yes, I'm in real estate, every aspect of real estate, but I'm also an actor.
Nice.
But I, once upon a time, was a full-time actor living in Hollywood and working on crazy stuff. But now I'm in Chicago.
Yeah.
But I actually started in real estate before I was acting full-time.
Right.
I've been in real estate since I was 17 years old.
Okay.
I started at a mortgage company as a receptionist.
Mm-hmm.
Very quickly learned that that's not how you make money in this business. So transitioned into a loan processing within a few months. And within the first year, I was like, nope, I want to produce. I want to do what they're doing in the big offices, So I learned the business very quickly. This was a long time ago. I don't want to say how long because, I don't want people to know how old I really am.
Means you got experience. That's it.
Yes. But yeah, I was doing that. And then I realized that I can give myself a no-doc loan. So I started investing when I was 18 years old.
Nice. Bought
my first property. Didn't know what I was doing, just knew I had to pay rent, and I was like, oh, I could afford this.
Right.
Bought a house in Berwyn. That was my first place.
Nice.
And then sold it 2 years later, and I was at the closing, I'm thinking, okay, this doesn't work anymore. I'm getting rid of the house. Went to closing to sale, and they handed me a check for $86,000.
And you were like, oh, shit.
I was like, yes. I was like, oh my gosh, wait, what just happened? I need to do this again, right?
Right.
By that time, I actually was managing my own mortgage companies already.
Okay.
I was about to turn 20. I owned a mortgage company in Oak Brook. And yeah, I had a couple of loan officers just trying to figure it out.
Right. How did you juggle? You were 20 years old at that?
Yeah.
How did you juggle?
I felt like I didn't really have a choice. I was a very young mom.
Yeah.
I was 17 when I had my daughter.
Wow,
I was still in high school. So got through high school, went to college, but more like community college. I didn't really, I was kind of an immigrant still at the time. So I couldn't take the test to go away to college. And I had my daughter. So I had to work, I had to provide for her. And, I've also always been a big creative. Like, I have ADHD, so ceilings don't exist for me. There is no limitation. And I've always dreamt really big and kind of just went for it, So I did, I kind of just went for it. I had the mortgage company. I was investing. I had my daughter. in college. I don't know
How
how
do
to
you
do
how do you manage that, right? Like,
it.
it's just the type they kind of think about everything, right? Like, you kind of think about having first up kid at 17, managing. I can only imagine, because I mean, I know firsthand how much it takes to in the whole process, getting things done,
Yeah.
phone calls, and taking everything in, and especially doing it while you have a daughter, while you're in college, managing everything. It could definitely take a toll. So, like, did first and foremost, is that your only daughter? Or do you have any other?
No, I only have one.
One? Okay.
Yeah, it was
Because
a
I mean,
lot.
I mean, I was saying that's
Yeah.
they to be able to juggle all that, and I can imagine how hard it is to maintain a relationship with your daughter up front. Now, obviously, you still have a relationship with your daughter, but I know how much it could take, much
It could
pressure
take
it
a
is.
toll.
Yeah, no, 100%.
For sure. Yeah,
100%.
because I mean, I had to provide
Yeah.
for her, and I wanted to make sure that she lived in good neighborhoods and went to the best schools and stuff. And
Right.
I couldn't go work a minimum wage
Right.
job
100%.
for something like that, you know.
And then how did everything, obviously, I'm assuming after 2008, that's when everything kind of shifted into the acting, or like, how did?
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
So let me go back a little bit. Yeah, I started investing. You trial and error, you know, I failed, I lost the money, I gained the money, you know, I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have any guidance or someone like telling me do this, don't do that, invest here. Like, I just trial and error, you know. So I made a lot of mistakes, you know, but I still did it, you know, and I learned a lot from it. And during that time, I somehow, you know, would find time. I stopped investing because I didn't do it very well when I was young. But I still was in the mortgage industry. I used to take classes. And my family, after I had my daughter, I wanted to go to Columbia and study theater and, you know, film and TV and all of that stuff. And my family was like, you have to do something serious with your life. So that's kind of why I took the mortgage industry so serious. I got my mom to get her real estate license, and we kind of like built something together at the time.
Okay.
And then after the market crashed, for about 2 years, all I did was work for free for my clients. I did modifications. And it was so heartbreaking because everyone was losing their homes. Like, I mean, you were kind of young at the time, but you know what it was. You watched the movies.
Right.
Right?
No, that's crazy, though.
It was crazy for about 2 years. It was so heartbreaking. Everyone was losing their homes. I didn't know how to help them. I did all of these modifications in it. I was like, I hate this. Like, I don't want to do this. I'm not happy. Like, I'm still in my early 20s, and I'm like, I want to do what I want to do. Like, the money's not a driving factor. Like, sure, it was great to be like young and like super successful. Like, you know, you're not even 20 years old. I had the big house in Burr Ridge and drove the Mercedes. I thought that was happiness because that's what kind of like your family says. Like, oh, we're so proud of you because you made money at a young age. I was so miserable. I was like empty. And so about 2 years after, I was like, I'm done. I'm going to do what I want to do. My best friend called me.
There you
Sorry,
go.
Mom.
Hello.
Should I answer?
I know. I put her on the camera. Hey, Mom, we're on a podcast. Man.
Yeah. My best friend at the time called me, and my daughter was going to be spending the summer in Mexico City. And he's like, I'm working on this huge television show with Zoe Saldana and a couple of other big actors. I need you to come out here, help me produce this show. Just come out for a few months. You could take acting classes here. You've always wanted to do this. And I was like, why not? I'm going to do it.
That's dope.
So I went to Hollywood, and then I never left.
How long was, because
that was in 2011.
Let's backtrack, because I think that the most important part and the most thing I want to highlight is that you at a very young age figured out, you know, the hardest part to figure out about life, which is, you know, the materialistic things doesn't necessarily guarantee happiness. And I think the most important part is you kind of went all the way up on top of the mountain, looked around, and you're like, wait, what the fuck? This is the top of the mountain. This is what it looks like up here. Or like, this is what everybody refers to as being like the top of the top. And I'm going to refer to this book a lot because I'm finishing up Amazing Ego's Enemy. I absolutely love that book. And if you haven't read it, I think it's definitely a really, really good book.
I need the clip notes.
It's all good. I'll go ahead and send you the clip notes. But all that to be said is that is something that it's super important in one's life, is to be able to rebuild yourself, recreate yourself, because at everyone's point in life, you're going to get to a point where you reach a certain level where you're going to have to see, okay, what is my true value? What do I really want in my life? Because life is going to build you up to a point where you climb on top of the mountain. You get to where you feel as if is what you truly feel is going to be the best way of living life, what everyone perceives it as. But then you get to a certain point where you look at it and you're on top of the mountain and it's empty. There's no value behind it,
100%.
no purpose, right? And
100%.
you found that out at a very young age, right? Like that's got to be tough. Like, what was your mind at that point? Were you very like, I mean, you got to be like depressed in a way, you know, like that's...
Yes and no. It was kind of like literally my coming to Jesus moment.
And so that's dope,
because there was so much like emptiness. There was so many things I had already done, and attained, and had, and it meant nothing to me. I was unhappy. I had so many voids. I had a lot of childhood trauma that I needed to work on, at the time, that I didn't know. And so I'm thinking like, this is the opportunity of a lifetime. Like, my best friend is like doing business, making films and TV shows with like the biggest actors in Hollywood. Like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I go out there and I'm thinking like, I'm going to be the next big thing, next Salma Hayek for sure. Wasn't the case. But God had other plans.
That's still fucking dope though. That's still dope to experience, right? Like,
it was crazy. And it was a long, hard journey, because I feel like, yes, I had some wins. I had some triumphs. I worked on some really cool stuff. Like, as soon as I got out there, that's why I was like so sure I'm going to make it. Like, things are already popping off for me. Like, as soon as I got to Hollywood, it's going to be great. And it had nothing to do with that. It was, once again, not about like attaining success or fame or like all of these big things. It was bigger than that,
What do you mean by that?
So I feel like God wanted to pull me away from everything familiar and everything I knew, and kind of like isolate me and take me out of my environment, because there was so much that he wanted to heal in me, and so much that he wanted to show me, and I wouldn't have been able to do that in the environment that I was in.
Which not a lot of people are able to experience that. And I think the cool part about your journey is that you've experienced so many careers. That's why I brought it up, because I knew you were more chum. I knew you're an actress. I know you're obviously an agent now, and it's cool to see an individual who has experience in each career field, because you can kind of see how life is lived in other people's careers. What genuinely does make people happy, right? You probably see the people at the top and you're like, I thought that actor was probably going to be a little bit more happy in life, right? Like, and we all know like LA can cause that, right? Like it's the hard part about it is it's a rat race, right? Like, and as much, some people don't fall into that, but it's right. Like, it's kind of like a drug. You're always trying to figure out, and this business is like that too. You're always trying to get to the top. Well, what's that? Once you're in the top, you got to sustain it. You got to continue to do that. You got to do the next best show, and you got to continue to do that. So I think that it's cool to kind of have that perspective, because you've already been at the top over here. You go to this acting portion of your life, and you can kind of see how they live their life, and what things have you saw from actors that you might have been like, oh shit, like, do I want this as a career? Is this really what I want as a long term? Is this sustainable? Right.
What I learned in that process is it's the same crap.
Yeah.
People are just as empty there, on top of like, this is like a lot of people's like biggest dream and aspiration, to be, around like these big Hollywood actors and stuff. It's the same thing. Everyone suffers from like those voids that nothing in this world can actually fill. No amount of money, no amount of fame, nothing, because it's something deeper and spiritual, and it's not something worldly that can be grasped or attained or bought.
Do you feel like the voids are more of older trauma, or do you feel as if it's even deeper than that?
No, I think everyone has their own journey.
Okay.
everyone has their own like spiritual journey. And we, you think about like what people use to make themselves feel better. It's like we are very deep spiritual beings, but we think that, buying a nice watch or having a nice house and stuff is going to make us feel better. Like, I don't know, material things of some sort. Some people use drugs, a lot of drugs in Hollywood, alcohol, sex, whatever it may be. Those are all things that people use to make themselves temporarily feel better. And at the end of the day, there's nothing here that will fill those voids. Like, it goes deeper. Like, we are spiritual beings and, deep relationships, loving people well and deeply. Like, those are the things that matter. Being present, having like awesome conversations like how we're having right no, now,
100%.
Understanding people's like journey, how they've evolved and changed and learned and grown through the years. That's like what's really cool. Like those moments, when you sit back, like everything else is fleeting,
right? No, I'd be the first one to tell you that's the reason why I like doing these podcasts, because you get to hear someone else's perspective on life, right? And I think the interesting part is just kind of understanding that everyone has a phase in their life where you're trying to fill that void, right? I'll be the first one to tell you, like, for me, it's like, all right, once I hit 50 million, it's like, boom, I'm going to be like on top of the fucking world. And then you hit it and you're like, oh shit, it's a rat race, right? Like, what's next? How are we going to do the next thing, right?
That's the thing.
You're never going to be fulfilled. You're never going to be fulfilled. Yeah, no, 100%. You definitely have to lean on something bigger than you, which...
For sure. And don't get me wrong, like, it's nice to be comfortable,
No, 100%.
I will pick that over being 100%,
broke 100%.
Any day. Like, I struggle, but that was my choice. I was a starving artist for years.
Really?
Yes.
How was that? That's like, because that's fucking crazy to think. You're like, you owned your mortgage company. You're like, fresh, and then you're like, all right, fuck it. I'm trying to chase my dreams. I don't give a fuck what I got to do to be able to do that. How was that?
It's crazy. I mean, it was like night and day. And it's, it's weird because my childhood was kind of that way as well. Either we were like very well off, living in like high-end hotels, or we're like dirt poor, living in a hut, having no food to eat. Right. So it was like, and not that I'm comfortable with the highs and lows, but that's life, right? No, I had the big house in Burridge at the age of 20, and then I was living in a freaking shed at one point in LA in the back of a pool house.
A shed is $1 million over there. A shed is $1 million over there.
In the hood in Van Nuys. Literally, they made it seem like it was a pool house. Absolutely, it was a shed. They put drywall in it. And it didn't have a bathroom or a kitchen or anything. It was literally a room, and I had to come out at night and use the bathroom in the big house. But it was the only thing I could afford.
Right.
And to me, like, as crappy as that was, like, I was doing what I wanted to do. That was still my choice. Because one thing that I know how to make money, but the money, once again, is not a driving factor. It's not what motivates me. It's great, it makes you comfortable, but it's not what, is going to make me like go nuts and passionate and, have the drive to go after it,
What did that teach you as a woman?
What did that teach me as a woman? Well, this is the thing, like, for women, there is so many different lives that we can live. Like, some women, they get to stay at home and not have to work and take care of their kids. And I mean, I respect that so much, because that's a really hard full-time job. And they could get to have someone take care of them. And then some of us, have had to work really hard and like struggle for, the things that we have attained. And as much as I have crazy work ethic and, I love what I do, I don't want to work so hard anymore, because I don't think it's worth it. I've had years where, I'm making 180 grand, and then years where I'm making $500,000, $600,000. There is no difference. I don't feel better, like more powerful, I'm more tired. I'm more beat up. I'm sleep deprived. I'm not probably working out as much, eating as well, when I am making over $500,000. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
To me, it's not worth it. For some people, it is. I know it's a little different for men.
Yeah.
You know, it's taken me a long time to understand that my value as a woman is not in what I do or what amount of success I attain or what I accomplish. You know, it is deeper than that. And yeah.
I think, I mean, that's deep, because I mean, as a woman, you know, you can kind of see it from that perspective. I think there's a lot of value behind what you said for a woman that is striving for success, because that can be an empty path. And I think for a man as well, right? Like as a man, I could honestly tell you that's something that I have to learn, right? Like that's something that I'm still learning to this day, right? Like this shit is a drug, right? Like dude, if it was up to me and I was single, I'd probably be working 9 to 9. Like I'm just,
because we buy into the hustle culture.
Right. Yo, no, I'll be the first one to tell you.
Yeah.
I'm the like, my brain, and it partially is because I played sports. Like sports has been my thing. So yeah, I'm very fucking competitive. Like I've played sports my entire life. So it's like wake up at 6 a.m., go practice, do this, and it's always been ingrained in my brain. So this job was perfect for me. I'm like, I know you gotta.
What?
No,
I'm just kidding.
Nah, play real sport, play baseball.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. You know, you got a Belgium Malinois, right? Your dog?
Belgium
Malinois.
Mm-hmm.
So Dwight has a Belgian Malinois. That's the only reason why I know that dog. And I actually, when we speak about the way that I treat this business is like a Belgium. Ooh. It's like where you see, they say the biggest difference between a Belgium and a German is that if you sit on a cliff and you throw a ball off a cliff, a German Shepherd is smart enough to stop. A Belgian Malinois is so locked into their target that they will go and jump off the cliff no matter what the outcome is. They're gonna go get the ball. And that's the same thing that I refer to my business is like, I'm that, right? Like it doesn't matter what's in front of me, who's that. I'm just like very locked into the business because I have that competitive nature in me. I just love to succeed, but I also understand where you're coming from, where there's emptiness in that. There is a certain point where you go and you're like, what the fuck is the purpose of this? What am I doing it for? What's the bigger purpose of it? You always tell yourself you're doing it for your family, right? That's what you always tell yourself, right?
That's
at least for myself.
Society tells
right.
us.
And that's what I've always told myself. And then the more you do it, the less time you spend with your family. So it's all irony, right? Like it's all ironic because you're like, all right, I'm doing this for my family, but I'm spending less time with my family and I'm working more.
Yeah.
And I always hear that story from Michael Jordan's trainer. Like this story is absolutely crazy. Every single time I hear it, it's like I think of my daughter and I'm like, oh fuck, like that's tough. And he was talking about how during that time he was the busiest he's ever been. He's training Michael Jordan. He has to be on call whenever he wants. Boom, we gotta go train with Michael Jordan. And he was leaving, and his daughter stops him before he goes to the door, and she's like, "Hey, puppy, do you have to leave? Like, I really want to spend more time with you." And he's like, "Well, I have to leave because this is how I put food on the table." Yeah. And the first thing she said is like, "Well, if I eat less, does that mean you can stay more?" Oh. You met your daughter 10 years old telling you that, right? Like what are you gonna say, right?
Right.
And his response was like, that's the cost of winning.
Yeah.
Right? Like it is what it is. This is what I have to do in order for me to succeed. Fast forward in the story, and it helped her develop her brain to understand that is what is needed for her to be able to succeed, which is great. Yeah. But I do think that there's irony in it, in that where is that really happiness, right? Like is spending more time with your family more make you happier as a person, or is it getting the accolades, right?
Yeah.
I think accolades are empty. I'm super numb to accolades. I don't give a shit about accolades, to be honest with you. I can win every award and any award in the damn book, and it won't really mean shit to me. But I will say that's a part of the journey.
But yeah.
No, it's great. Like it's cool to be recognized, but it's not a driver.
It's not like you need it.
No, 100%.
No, I get that, and you're absolutely right. And going back to like my daughter, she's older and she grew up, she's such a good kid, at a mortgage company. Yeah. And she would hide underneath my desk because, it would go all the way down and she'd sit down there with a little light and color. And she was just such a good kid. And now like that makes me emotional to think about that, because it's like I would pick her up from daycare and then we'd go back and I'd be in the office till like 9 p.m. You know, I'm running a mortgage company.
Right.
And this is how my poor kid grew up, instead of like, you know, me being at home, like, you know, cooking her dinner and like reading her stories and being able to like be a mom. And like, I see like, you know, I'm sharing probably a little too much now, but those are the traumas that I'm talking about, the things that affect us. Like my daughter, now that she's older, you know, she can talk about how those things kind of affected her.
Right.
I thought I was doing the right thing.
Right.
I had her in the best schools, you know, the best neighborhoods, gave her, you know, she wore the best clothes, all of that stuff. It didn't matter.
Right.
It would have been better for me to probably work less and spend more time with my daughter, but I bought into the hype, the hustle culture, that I needed to work to give her the best. She didn't need the best, she needed me, you know.
That's deep. And they were just talking about that in church 2 weeks ago. The sermon, he was talking about, or no, I think it was actually this Sunday.
I was there two
weeks ago. Well, what he was saying was that, and this is super, super important to add on to that, is, you know, when you're thinking about a cross-country race, right? Like you're figuring out how fast you need to go to run the race, right? Cross-country, you got to go slow, because at the end of the day, it's long distance.
Yeah.
But for individuals who start the race that are sprinting, usually end up being last because they don't understand how far the distance is.
Yeah.
So the concept is if you kind of understand and know your destination, and you know how fast you really need to go and what speed you need to go to be able to get to the place that you want to be.
Right.
A lot of people don't live life understanding where they want to go. And that's the hard part about figuring out what life is that like we're always told what we should be doing, how we should do it, what's the best life to be living, but we don't really sit down and understand like, okay, what is right for me? Like, what do I want?
100%.
What makes me happy? And it's hard. That's definitely the toughest part about life, you know?
For sure. To add on that, like the fact that it's not an actual destination.
Right.
It's not like we're going to get to that place and just be like done and good for the rest of it. Like that is not how we work as human beings. We're not wired that way.
Right.
So the important part is actually the journey and being present in that and enjoying that. Even like in the hard seasons, like, you know, I know Christians, we talk about rejoicing in those moments. Like last year, I had a year that kicked my ass to like the very last day. It was just a very tough year for me. You know, it just loss after loss and just a lot of like heartbreak and, you know, death, a lot of things, you know, and I was starting to get really, really depressed. And then there's just moments where it's like, you know, this is temporary. I have to remind myself, like, I have to be grateful and thank God for like the things that I'm not paying attention to because I'm so fixated on like the pain and the sadness and the loss and all of that stuff. And it sounds really weird to say like we have to still be grateful and rejoice and understand that, you know, those moments will pass and better times will always come and we will be in a different season, you know.
Right.
But
there's always going to be a different season, and that's the beautiful part about life, right? Like it's the hard reality of it though, is because like you're in those seasons and you're trying to reconfigure your brain in a time where you don't even want to think about anything other than just grieving. And sometimes grieving is a good season, right? Like that's something that you kind of have to take for yourself. As much as life makes you keep moving forward, because life doesn't stop, unfortunately. Bills don't stop, nothing stops. But at the end of the day, I do think it's important to grieve, because if you don't, there's going to be a point in time where everything comes coming down.
No, for sure.
You're self-sabotaging your own life if you don't do that for yourself.
It is important to stay and understand those moments. And then when you're out of it, be like, what did I learn? How have I grown through that season? What did that teach me? Like, you know, with like, for example, breakups, it's like, what was it in me what wasn't I seeing? What, you know, who was I then? Who am I now? How did it change me? Like, what can I improve? You know, how can I be better? Not like, what did they do? You know, but those are seasons for growth. I feel like those are the best moments where we just like have the most expansion as human beings.
But isn't it cool to kind of see like looking back on your own journey, right? Like you can kind of reflect on it, and in those moments, it's hard for you to kind of see what the outcome of the future will be, and then all of a sudden you look back, it's like, oh shit, I was living in this shed, and then you transition to continue to grow and to be in the position that you're in right now. Like, what does that say to yourself, and how do you feel about looking back on a journey to where you're at right now?
I mean, I don't think I would have changed. I don't think I would change anything from that season, like being the starving artist and all of that. Like, that feels like a lifetime ago. It's literally, I've been back in Chicago for 10 years this August, right? Gosh, 10 years is a really long time, and it goes by so quickly.
Yeah.
And I came back, and because I had been in, I knew I wanted to come back into real estate. I knew I wanted to invest again. I didn't have any money to do it, right? So 2017, my grandfather passed away, who was the closest person to me in my life. He raised me. He was my mentor. He was my everything. He passed away, and my whole world like came tumbling down. And a couple of months before he passed away, I spent 2 weeks with him. And I don't know what it was. I was just like, everything he did, I wanted to do with him. My grandpa, he was an accountant, and he was an attorney, and he was a developer. He built property in Mexico City. So I looked up to him. He's just the coolest person in the world. And we had a lot of deep conversations, and one of the things that he told me is like, go back into real estate. He's like, you're good at it. You know how to make money. You know how to build. You know how to scale. Like, people trust you. You love families. Like, do it. Still continue with the arts. Continue acting. Continue producing. If that's what you want to do, it's like, you can do both. Like, you are special. Right. Not like shortlist, but yes, I'm special. And so he passed away 2017, end of it. And then I was like, 2018 comes about, and I'm like, I'm back. I'm gonna go back in. I got into a horrible car accident at the end of 2017.
Holy shit.
I fractured part of my spine. I didn't have health insurance. It was just, when I tell you, I was like down in the dumps. I had nothing. I didn't have anything, not a penny to my name. My grandpa passed away. My whole family disappeared, the entire inheritance. He left me $1,800. And I was so broke, and I needed that money. I'm getting my license again. First year back in real estate, I didn't own a car. I used to take the bus and train and sometimes Uber if I could to meet my clients, and then jump in with their families in their car to go tour properties. So that was my first year back. When I tell you I had to start from ground zero, it was like negative. And that's what it was. Like, I'm going to therapy. Some days I could barely even walk. I had to start all over again, but I was like hungry again. Right. I was like, I know I can do this, and I know I can do it well. And I thought it would be way easier because I was in it for so long. Right. It was not at all.
I mean, there's something about the fire and desire, like just the will and willpower to be able to do that. Like, and one thing that like I really respect about it is that you went from another career that you could say that you had a lot of different opportunities, but instead of, not being the best of the best, and then you go back to Chicago, and then you have all this hardship, instead of like just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go get a job and I'll figure it out. Like, you stuck with it. You kept going. You were like, I'm gonna be this entrepreneur. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna be the best that I can. You know how many agents like are probably, or I don't know how many agents would actually take the bus and train to be able to do showings, and why you broke a portion of your spine, like all that stuff is definitely crazy to even think about, that you took the opportunity and you ran with it, right? And to see like how you slowly progressed and grown from that is absolutely crazy. What was your mind going through that? Like, how many times you almost give up, and how did you tell yourself you're not going to give up, right? Like,
well, for one, I had college to pay for.
Yeah. Okay.
And like in my culture here, we pay for our kids' school.
Right.
Like our kids live with us until they get married.
Right,
You know,
right.
I'm old school.
Yeah.
I'm really old fashioned.
Yeah, it's okay.
So my daughter was gonna go off to college 2018. She was graduating. I was like, okay, well, I can't be a starving artist anymore, you know, shooting these little McDonald's commercials. They pay well sometimes. And stuff like that. So I knew I had to like go hard again.
Yeah.
And I knew I could do it. I thought it would be quicker and it would happen faster. But, you know, one of the things that helped, I went back in and I was working a lot and just like doing anything. Like if I had to take 3 buses to go to a certain neighborhood to meet my clients, I would do it, you know, because it's what I had to do.
Right.
I got really skinny because I walked everywhere that year. Yeah, but now I drive everywhere, which sucks. But, you know, it's just what you had to do.
Right.
Like, you know, you sometimes like there is no choice. I'm a very solution-driven person. I'm a problem solver, and I always find a way. If God gives me the ability to do it and he gives me the strength and I can get up, you know, even if I'm dragging myself, I'm going to go,
right.
You know, and that's what it was. So went back in, and then those 1,800, I needed the money. I didn't use it, but I came across an opportunity to buy a property in Little Village. And this is where bad agents, it's crazy. The property was boarded up, right? I couldn't afford very much. Someone said they were going to give me a loan, and I had that money, and I knew that money was blessed. Even if it was like $5, my grandfather left that to me with all of his love, you know? So I knew the money was blessed. This house is boarded up. The agent's like, oh, there's squatters in there. It's completely destroyed. They took all the plumbing out. Like I wouldn't even go in there. Like he was the listing agent trying to sell it, but he didn't care about it because it was a $50,000 house, right? He's like, there's no lockbox. You have to take the boards out, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. I take a drill. I was seeing this guy at the time. He was useless, but so I'm like, literally hold my hammer, give me the drill. Like I'm taking the boards out. I go into the house. The house is immaculate. Yeah, they graffitied in there. Like it was in great shape. No squatters, nothing. I couldn't believe it. And I was like, okay, I think I can afford this investment. I'm going to use my $1,800 that I have. I'm going to make this happen. I offer him less than that, almost half. He's like, nah, I don't care. You know, the client doesn't care. Like, you know, it's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Take it. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let's close next week. Yeah.
Yeah, like, let's do it.
We close next week, and it's crazy because, you know, that little bit of money that my family stole that I used to invest into that house was multiplied turned into hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then I was back in the game again. One property.
And that's crazy, you know. They always say, again, back in that book, it was talking about there's always, whenever you're kind of in your own journey, right, there's something called an instant climb, right? Like you're willing to do anything and everything to be able to get to the place that you want to be. And it's usually followed by something that's called the disease of me. And what that is once you finally get to the destination you want to be, you self-sabotage your own journey because your head gets a little bit too big and you feel as if you're bigger than what the purpose you originally were going for. You're bigger than that purpose. And that the hard part about getting around that is that it's very common for like teams to win, you know, championships, right? Like, and then the next year they can't win because a lot of team members' ego starts coming out.
Gotcha.
Right. And they start thinking that they're bigger than they actually are.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things that the book talks about is it's really important for you to kind of understand and recognize the innocent climb, because you got to see what you used to do or what you were willing to do to be able to achieve your goals.
Yeah.
But now you look back and you're like, oh no, I would never do that. And then you don't see or understand why you're not achieving the things that you want to achieve or
Yeah.
become to where you want to be, but
Yeah.
it's simply because you're not doing the things that you're willing to do at some point in time, you know.
For sure.
But man, that's a crazy ass hustle story, bro. Like that.
It's a good one. It was a blessing. I'm telling you, that whole thing brought me back in the game, and not for nothing. Like all of a sudden, you know, you have a little bit of money, you
Yeah.
get your confidence back. It's like, I could do this. I GC'd the whole project myself. Like,
Shit.
yeah, you know, I had my subs and everything, and it's just such a beautiful feeling when it's like you get to come back from like being back down in ground zero. I've been there a couple of times.
I hear you.
But it's such a blessing to see like God in it every time. And yeah,
That's actually so dope.
it's cool.
That's dope.
It's cool. And now, you know, I'm gonna just
You fast forward, now you're in real estate full time, and you know.
I have my team. We have our investments. We fix and flip. I don't usually buy and hold.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, I do a couple of projects a year because I'm very invested, and I design the whole thing, and I actually still GC my own projects.
What?
Yeah.
What made you do that? Was it just by choice, or
I
like?
love it because it is the most creative part of real estate. I need to do it. If I don't have a project going on, I start feeling a little like empty, and like I'm not being true to myself.
Right.
You know, real estate can be a little creative in some ways. This is why I love like the art of negotiation.
Right.
I'm really good. Our team kills it. We win every every bidding war every time. Like, not for nothing. We're known for that.
That's really cool.
We're really great at it. But when it comes to like flipping a property, taking something ugly and run down and turning it into something beautiful.
Right.
Yeah, just.
What's the biggest piece of advice for an individual that wants to get into that? What would you give them or the first steps that you would take to be able to do something like those lines?
To
start flipping or getting into.
Start flipping?
Yeah, getting in investments or getting into the real estate game.
Yeah. For one, make sure you're working with people who are very knowledgeable. You have a good team. Great loan officer. And two, that you try to find a mentor, someone who knows what they're doing, has been doing it for a while. Because, like, for example, I have clients right now. They're some of the workers that actually have built some of my properties. They bought in neighborhoods that they're not familiar with, markets that they don't know. They didn't. You have to study the market, the trends. What are people looking for? Every neighborhood is different. So you have to give people what they want. You can't just create something in an area where this is not what people want or are looking for or need. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that need to be taken into consideration. Don't do it because you want to just make money. My biggest advice for someone who wants to get into investing is buy a building. Buy a building, put some money into it, fix it up, something that needs some work, maybe a 203K. Do the work, sell it in 2 years, $250,000 tax-free. Most people don't know that. You don't have to pay taxes on your first $250,000. That property I ended up having to live in, the one that I was telling you that I purchased when I first came back in. And guess what? That was the biggest blessing because then there's no capital gain. Right? 100%. $250,000 for me, no taxes. Like, this is how the wealthy become wealthy. You find the loopholes. This is house hacking 101. Right?
No, 100%.
And you move every 2 years. You start with a 4-unit building. You fix that up. You sell that in 2 years. Get into the 3-unit building. Then the 2-unit. Eventually, you buy the house. Never start with the house or the condo. Most people think it's like, I want my starter home and stuff. And I always tell my clients, I always suggest it. Should we start with a building? Trust me, I'll put the numbers on paper. It makes more sense. You'll be wealthy. 100%. This will pay for your retirement. Most people don't listen to me, but the ones that do, they just they start a machine. And not for nothing. Those are my wealthy clients.
It's funny enough that you said that because that's exactly what happened to me. My uncle told me I was gonna buy a condo. I was gonna buy a condo. That was the first thing I was gonna buy. Dwight said, if you bring a condo, Yeah, he
Is
said.
he here?
No, he's not here today. I
Dang
wish he
it.
was. You'll meet him.
Yeah.
You never met him in person, right?
No.
Yeah. That guy's like the Godfather, bro. Like I said, of Neighborhood Alone.
The Godfather.
But he told me if you buy a condo, or at least if you bring in a loan that's a condo and you're purchasing it, I'm denying your loan. I don't give a shit how qualified you are. I don't care. You're denying it. He's like, you're getting fucking denied instantly.
Yes.
So he's like, you have again buy the building, do the things. Oh yeah, he's the best. He's taught me everything I know. He's very like. I think everybody needs that in their life. They need to have. My parents have given me everything that anybody needed to as a kid. Bro. I have very amazing upbringing, and that has made me who I am today.
Yeah.
But Dwight is the complete opposite of that. And what I mean by that is...
Sounds like a mentor.
Oh, yeah. He's great. He's fucking best. My mom, I think everyone should have this. I follow Patrick Bet-David a lot. He's a great... I don't know if you ever heard of him, but he's a podcaster, and he used to own an insurance company, all that sort of stuff. But he always says this, and this is super important. You have to have two people in your life. One that gives you motherly love type, where it's love no matter what happens. You can get arrested tomorrow. They're going to be there and have your back and still love you. Then you got to have an individual that looks at you no matter. Well, this is for people. A lot of times when you study people who are successful, they have both, right?
Okay, go on.
And that person is obviously love you forever, right? Then you have a person who you can show them $100,000 check, and they look at you and they're like, "I'm not impressed." Right. And that person is someone who, no matter what, you got the Ferrari, you got this, whatever, they're always going to look at you and say, it's okay, but someone else did that already. Right. Or like, you're not special.
You're not like, special.
And you have both, if you have both perspectives,
you
got humility, and then you have someone else that brings you up. Unconditional love. And those are usually the two key factors of being able to be successful. Yeah. You don't necessarily need it, but that's important, because I had that in my life, and I understand how much that can help, because over here, my mom is always telling me I could be the freaking president of the United States, right? Like I could do whatever the hell I want. And then over here, he's always told me, he's like, bro, there's something bigger than you, and nothing that you've achieved is impressive because someone's already done it, right? That's good. So it helps me, because I'm like, oh shit, keep my head smart, right? Yeah. Oh yeah, he's definitely helped a lot. And another story that I was always told was one of an individual. I forgot what the name of the book was. But there was an individual, super, super, super good story, who lived in his dream house. Okay. All of the things in his house had so much memorabilia. It's probably one of the most beautiful houses that he could have. But in the book, the guy ends up being a part of a fire. Right? Whole house burns down. All of his stuff and belongings were caught in the fire. Nothing was able to survive. Wow. So obviously, horrible story. Everything's messed up. But at the end of the book, and the moral of the story was that the person who actually ended up burning the house was himself. Whoa. He didn't know, because he's schizophrenic.
It's not Fight Club?
Yeah. And that's my favorite movie. But that's the whole. I love to tell it, because the moral of the story, right, is like a lot of times you self-sabotage your own life, right? You're the person and the individual that destroys the most best things in life, and it's super, super deep. That's good. Yeah.
But that's why we need faith. Right. And that person for me is God. Right. 100%. And because I do stay in the Word, and I read my Bible, like I get humbled.
How has that changed you?
Oh my gosh. I am a horrible person away from God. Trust me. I hung out with my friends from high school a couple of days ago. They were telling stories. Oh, Lord. So embarrassed. I was like, that wasn't me. That
was like
right.
So like old me, right?
I was just like an adrenaline junkie. I think it's part like the ADHD part, like you just, right. I don't know, hunger for like craziness and stuff. Right. Clearly. Yeah, no, and it wasn't until 2011 when I went to LA that I was like brought down to my knees and humbled to a point where it was just like God started showing me like all of this brokenness and all of these things that he wanted to pull from the root, and like who I am and like who I could become and what I needed to work on, that it was like, oh God, we are ugly away from God.
100%.
So and I have that. I grew up with brothers, so I'm a total ball buster. I swear way too much, Yeah. I'm feminine, but I'm still like a guy's girl, you
Right,
know.
right.
Grew up like sports and like, you know, Muay Thai and boxing and all of
Right.
that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, and then God like shows me like I thought I was so tough. I never used to like I wasn't emotional. I didn't cry very much. And it was through acting that God showed me how like hardened my heart was because emotionally I hadn't allowed myself to feel every array of emotion. And it showed
How
on
did acting show
camera.
you that?
I couldn't cry. I couldn't get emotional. It would look like anger on camera. And my acting teachers and like the coaches and all of that would be like, this is just really interesting. I'm like, no, I'm like sad. I'm like,
Right,
you know,
right.
method acting and stuff. And it would just show up in a different way. That's because those are like the default emotions that I would feel,
That's interesting. Yeah.
which was a defense mechanism. So I wasn't allowed to be soft. I wasn't allowed to be sensitive because that wasn't okay in my family.
Right.
You know, and that is who I totally am. I am a mess. I'm just such an emotional, soft, loving, caring like person. But it was like, no, you got to be hard. You got to be. This is why I did all the things that I did so young, because it's like this is what I have to do.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And I wasn't like taking myself into consideration.
That's
this
deep.
is why I got burnt out. You know.
Right. What did burnt out look like for you?
Depression. And just like no desire to do anything. Like just losing interest in everything and anything, you know, not caring about, not even wanting to go to work anymore. Like it was almost like becoming paralyzed. And that's what happens with like ADHD. If you have anxiety and depression, it all comes together. It just shuts you down because you are so overwhelmed, overstimulated by life that it's like debilitating.
That's so interesting to hear.
Yeah,
man.
it's really interesting.
No, like it's crazy to think about because the only thing that could lift you up is God at that point.
Literally.
Right. Because if you got to lean on something bigger than you.
Absolutely.
Right. If you got
this is why I'm telling you, I wouldn't be around. Like my entire life is a miracle. We don't have time to go into every story, but like I've literally like God has shown up in my life in so many ways, and my life has flashed before my eyes a number of times. 3 years ago I was bedridden for months. People don't know about that. I spoke about it a little bit on my Instagram and it went viral. I had surgery and it went really bad, and a doctor left me internally bleeding for 11 days. And I developed horrible infections and I had to have emergency surgeries, and it was horrible. And for 3 days, I couldn't even respond anymore. I was gone. My organs were shutting down. I was literally dying. I saw my grandfather in the corner of my room for days. And people like, I'm Christian, and they're like, no, that doesn't, you know. I literally, maybe I was, you know, I'm
dreaming or whatever.
Maybe, you know, I was dying.
Right.
Every part of my body I lost so much blood. I would have transfusions every day.
Did you feel like choosy or like
I couldn't respond anymore. I couldn't even talk anymore for a few days. Like my body was just not responsive anymore. So when I tell you, like, for me, it would be crazy to deny the existence of God, because like I am nothing. My whole life is a miracle. It's just a big ball of miracles.
Right, that is crazy.
Yeah. So this is why like my faith is everything, and he's the one who has to humble me and be like, because I think I'm Superwoman. I could do it all, you know. There is nothing that like you tell me I can't do something, I'm gonna want to do it more.
But what did that teach you? Like that's got to be like the most surreal feeling. Like a near-death experience got to be probably the most surreal, crazy feeling that you can ever feel. Like, did it feel like a dream, or like what did it feel like?
I'll be honest, it shook up my entire existence. It was the last 3 years. I was at a certain place, like my team, everything was like, we were on our way to like being one of the top teams in Compass. We could have been. I lost all desire for that. It's been recent. I'm not going to lie. Yes, I care about my clients. They come to me. I didn't seek out a piece of business in probably years. It was more like referrals and stuff like that. And, I did what I did. I had, people on my team but it was just like you rethink everything in your life, your relationships, like friendships, like fake people, like you look at everything differently, how there's just like, I don't like things that waste my time anymore because life is so short.
Yeah.
I don't date people that waste my time anymore. I don't, work for the money anymore. There's got to be purpose to everything that I'm doing. Like literally everything. Like for example, I have a property that I just purchased, a building, and I have tenants in there that haven't paid for years. And I have to sit back and pray because my attorneys and everyone on my team is like, get them up. Get them up now. Like there's laws and things. And then I'm like, I want to talk to them first. I want to know like who's there. Like, do they have kids? Like, what's the story? And today I had lunch with one of the tenants. And then I pray and God's like, help him. And everything in my life, in my world, in my team is like, no, he's taking advantage. He's taking your money. He's costing you money. And I'm just like, I'm going to help him. It's not about the money. There's purpose. There has to be purpose. And God is the foundation of it. And everything I do, at least I try to make him be, I pray about everything. So I can't live my life like, I don't know, a normal person sometimes. That sounds bad, or not a normal person, but more just like, person without faith.
But, which I think is a true life of purpose and happiness, right? Like it's not always going to be happy, but you actually kind of have your identity. Yeah. I think a lot of people don't have their identity. They're trying to figure it out as they go. And I think through life experiences, you kind of figure out who you are. And you change, right? Which is okay. Every season you're gonna change, but I think it's super important to have those experiences because, they always say, right, like moments like that, the tough times really shapes who you are as a person.
For sure,
right? And I think when you have those types of moments, the true goal and thing that people should be pursuing is trying to find what your identity looks like, what your purpose is, what's going to drive you, because there's so many things that you're going to achieve in this world. There's so many ways to make money. There's so many ways to be able to grow. There's so many ways to be a good father, to be a good mother, to be good, whatever you aspire to be. But if you don't know your true identity, if you don't know who you truly are,
what you're rooted in,
you're gonna lose yourself.
Yeah, well, we all need a foundation. 100%. You can't build a house on sand.
100%.
Without the foundation, it's gonna fall. And that applies to I think everything. Especially, just our business, relationships, even, it's all, the foundation is the most important thing.
What has motherhood taught you?
Oh my gosh. Everything. I really think being a parent is the hardest job in the world. Being responsible for a human life, and you want to be the best parent you can possibly be, but sometimes you don't know how your decisions are going to shape that child, and you try your best, but sometimes we make mistakes, my daughter just moved out, so this is the first time my dog passed away. He was my best friend. He passed away like 3 months ago. And
sorry about
like I'm an empty nester, and I have an empty house for the first time ever. Like it's always, most of my life, I've been a mom. I've been a caretaker. You know, I've had to take care of people around me. I don't know how to do life for just me. It's weird, you know?
Right.
But it's a new season. It's something I'm learning. Motherhood teaches you unconditional love, unlike anything else. You know, I think being a parent is such a beautiful thing, but such a fragile relationship, you know. I wish I would have been a better communicator with my daughter instead of being more like, haz esto porque yo digo, you know, do that because I say so. I'm your mother. Yeah. Why? Because I'm your mother. Right. We do that a lot as parents, and it's like, no, you know.
You have to understand.
Yeah, right. Communicate why, how that could hurt them, how, like, I don't know. I wish I would have learned that earlier. I've had to learn that as I got older through like bad relationships and stuff, you know, the cost of being a bad communicator. And I strive to be the best communicator I can be in every friendship, relationship and stuff. But yeah, unconditional love is the greatest lesson that motherhood has taught me. What about you?
It's changed everything for me. It really has. I think that being a father for me was everything that I've always wanted. Like, I always wanted to have kids. I've always been someone who, I want a big family. It's always been something and a true desire of mine. And when I became a father, it changed my perspective on business. It changed my perspective on how I need to run my life, how I need to own my time. And I think that that's why my biggest lesson I still am learning, 25 and 26, is learning how to own your time, because that's the hardest part, right? Like you get to a certain point where you don't feel like you own your time no more, and your time is running you, and you don't go through the day-to-day saying, hey, this is how I'm going to set up my day and this is how I'm going to do it. And because of that, you lose time for the things that matter the most, right? So fatherhood has taught me how to try to manage my time to where, not try, but to manage my time to where I own it. Yeah. And it's important to not sacrifice what you've built, but also understand that when you sacrifice for your job, you also are going to sacrifice in other places, right? You sacrifice money versus time, right? Like time with your daughter, time with being able to grow. So I truthfully do think that it being a father has made me a better man. It has made me better at my job and my craft. And I do think that me being a father has really opened my eyes to things, to find who I am as a person, my identity, because you see your daughter, and I think there's nothing better to see than having a kid and looking at them and them redoing what you're doing, like mimicking you. Like it's just cool to see. You're like,
your mannerisms,
like what? Yeah, your mannerisms, like her personality, like, you know, she has very like a characteristic. I'm a people pleaser. I'll be the first one to tell everybody. I'm a very like, I want to make everybody happy, right? Yeah. I want to make everybody happy. I'm like, okay, we're gonna do it. Let's do this. And
that means you're altruistic. You're a giver.
Right. Yeah. 100%. I'm a giver. And my daughter is the same exact way. I can tell. She's like, right now, she wakes up and she doesn't even wake up to like cranky, right? She just wakes up, okay, we're gonna make coffee. Like, yeah, you know, she just, okay, let me take your order.
Beautiful.
Oh, no. And I love it. I love it, right? Like, you could tell.
Some people make it seem like it's a negative thing. And I could see how it could, you know, go to the extreme. But to me, that's a heart posture that speaks volumes of like who you're, like how your heart works, and you know how it wants to just like give to others and make others happy.
100%.
That's so cute.
No, yeah. For me, it's like there has to be, like anything in life, there has to be a fine balance of it. Like you're gonna, the more people you try to make happy, the more you're gonna get everybody pissed off, right? Like you're gonna be, everyone's gonna be fucking mad at you because you're trying to make everybody happy, right? But all that to be said, as a father, that has taught me as a man, like how I need to obviously show my daughter how to live life. It's never going to be perfect. I'm always going to mess up. I'm going to miss certain things that I'm going to regret missing, and I'm probably going to do things, but I'm excited for the journey. I'm like ecstatic to have more babies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I definitely
How does
want
the
more
wife
babies.
feel about
She wants
that?
more babies.
Okay.
She wants more babies. But I obviously, again, owning your time, and that's
Yeah.
probably the most important part about it.
Yeah.
I don't want it to get to a point where, I watch Owning My Hand. Did you watch the show with Bryce Harris? So
I know who he is.
yeah,
I watched
bits and pieces of it. So in the second season, one of the biggest things that he talks about is and I could see where that can happen. He gets to a certain point where he's like, closing these deals. He's actually closing on the freaking Mercedes open up a whole condo complex, new development over there in Miami.
Yeah.
And he's closing the whole entire complex, right? And he's throwing an grand opening event. And his wife is there. He's like checking off all these things on the checklist, like how many people are being sold, what units this, writing down a piece of paper. And she looks at him and she's like, I remember the time where you used to enjoy these moments. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, and she's like, there was times where you would look at this and actually network, have fun, be a part of the story. Now, right now, you're crossing off life like it's a checklist.
Yep.
Your life is owning you. Yeah. You're not owning your time. And dude started crying. It goes on to the later scene. He starts crying and he's talking to one of his friends. He's like, to be honest with you, I want to be able to drop my daughter off in school without having to think about what appointment I'm missing. What am I doing?
Right. And
it's because it's consuming his life, right? And that's the biggest thing. And my biggest fear is that, you don't own your time at some point in time. And sometimes it has those life experiences like you experienced, right? Near death experience will definitely turn your head and like, yo, what is my time worth? What am I really, what is my true meaning in life? Is this really what I want?
Yeah.
And at that point in time, that's true power. At the end of the day, that really is having the ability to say no to something is true power,
No, for sure. That's a really good point.
Let me ask you, this is the last question I always finish off every single guest. If you had to have one conversation with the younger version of yourself, what would you tell her?
Oh, Lord. I would tell her to love herself more.
That's deep.
To accept herself more. A lot of the biggest or most costly mistakes that I've made in my life were because of a lack of self-love and respect. Whether in relationship, business, or just, even like the choice of like putting my entire life at risk to look a certain way because I didn't accept certain things about myself. It almost cost me my life. It's almost cost me my life. Like, I've been in really bad relationships that have cost me. I was with a guy that left me $500,000 in debt in my early 20s. That's lack of self-love. When you don't know your self-worth and your own value, you settle for things that are not for you, that are way less than what you should be going after or accepting in your life.
That's deep. That's deep. That's the best way to end it. I don't think you end better than that. I don't think so. But seriously, I really do appreciate your time. I think this was absolutely amazing for everybody, young, all those young Latina, and even not Latina, everybody that's out there that's watching this. I do think that this is great for entrepreneurs, for everyone to watch, because it's super important for everyone to understand when you're on the journey, on the path, it's okay to recreate yourself throughout every portion of the story. So we do appreciate everybody that's watching this podcast. And if you haven't already, make sure you like, turn your post notifications, and subscribe. But we appreciate your time. We hope you enjoyed today's episode.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.